Hello, everyone. I'm glad you have tuned in. Today we are going to be talking druids. Why? There's nothing else really to talk about. All right. Again, we're talking druids. I mean, one of these days you might see a hunter or mage, run down on this. You're not going to see a hunter or mage run down on this channel. The reason is, druids are the ultimate class in World of Warcraft. You're not going to get much better. I mean, we can tank, we can heal, we can range DPS and melee DPS. Don't need anything else. I don't know why there's any other class. So again, I play Druid. That's why I play Druid. That's why I'm always going to play Druid. Even though I don't tank, I don't heal. But that's besides the point, right? But let's go ahead and do this rundown. I don't have alpha, so I've had to, reference some sources that I trust. Links are in the description. I watch Preach. I watch Bellular. I trust them. If you don't watch them, why not? Click their links, follow them. So, where is Druid in Shadowlands? How does it look? How does it feel? What are, places for concern, places not to be concerned? First off, tank and healer, you're fine. Everything's the same. I don't think there's any changes. Nothing's really different. So, everything's pretty much the same there. So, nothing much to worry about. I don't tank and I don't heal, so again, I'll just take, their word for it as far as that goes. And Barrel right now seems to be a little bit broken, right? That seems to be the consensus, is that they're playing with blood talents, messing with blood talents, and it doesn't seem to flow really well. But again, I would take any of this with a grain of salt, right? As far as that goes. I remember back when BFA first came out. Now, the whole expansion wise and everything, we could talk about other things, right? But let's just stick with the class itself. I played Balanced Druid coming from Legion into BFA. They took away Full Moon, right? They didn't take away, it's still a talent, but let's just say, all things considered, they essentially took away Full Moon, right? You could still run it, but why would you do that? And I hated it. I hated it when I first started playing again, right? But then I remembered that, Full Moon in arenas, not the best thing to run, right? If you're running Full Moon in arenas, you're never going to get that cast off. It's just not going to happen. You're going to die before you get that cast off. All right. So the benefit that I have now in BFA is when I'm raiding, I can use essentially the same setup when I'm PvPing. I don't have to have some totally different thing. Muscle memory is fine and everything. Because if you look at my spec now, I use my PvP spec most of the time for raiding now anyways. Which kind of gets onto some of the other points later on in the video. But for now, we'll just stick with, there's no reason to panic when they make changes, right? They have these borrowed power systems where they can do tweaks and switch things up a little bit. They still have the soulbind system that they could go through and kind of plug some things in to make it all better. So no reason to panic, right? Things don't seem really good right now, but there's always room for improvement, right? Balanced Druid, again, same caveat there. They're making a lot of changes. Everything that's old is new again, right? They're going back to the kind of the balance system, I want to say from Wrath of the Lich King, right? Where you have a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, and based on which eclipse you're in determines which spells you cast, which I kind of like that, because right now with the weak wars that I have set up on my character, I'm really just playing whack-a-mole, right? Whenever the button lights up, that's what I push. I do have to think a little bit between Solar Wrath and Lunar Strike, but not too much, right? Especially if I have alignment up, I'm going to be going back and forth, playing a monk there, right? You want to do one, then the other, one, then the other, but that's neither here nor there. So that's where our balance is sitting at right now. Actually, it looks like it's in a really good place. I can't wait to get my hands on it and start playing it, seeing how it feels and flows. But it looks like a lot of fun. Looks like I need to think a little bit more, right? Which is never a bad thing. And Feral, I wouldn't be too worried about it. They'll get it worked out. They'll either fix the base class or they'll do something with soul binds. In the end, I think it'll wind up in a good place. They can't make there's always got to be something, or else no one would ever play anything with Druids, right? They are the master class. It just, again, nothing much better. Talking more about PvP. How's that gonna work out? This is a situation. As things sit right now, this concerns me. And it's everybody's concerned, everybody's worried about it, everybody doesn't know what to think or what the right answer is. I understand development's point as far as trying to make choices matter, but I like to play PvP and I like to raid. Mythic Plus and all that. Other people like to do all the things, that's fine. But I really don't care if I'm top DPS in a Mythic Plus. I really don't care. For my raid team, I do need to pull a certain amount of DPS in order for my raid to succeed. That's how the math works, right? You have to do a certain amount in order to succeed. I hope that they can make this work out, because otherwise I'm going to be running my PvP Covenant in my raid. That's how that's going to work. I'm going to be raiding unoptimized, because I'm going to choose the PvP talent. That's how it works. As it is right now, I guess in the end, I tend, since my muscle memory is so good with my PvP setup, I tend to run that during raids all the time anyways, unless it's really apparent that I have to switch. Like I'm really dropping down and I have to make a change, then I'll do that on the fly. It's no big deal. Instead of doing like a healing affinity or resto affinity, in other words, like most people would choose, I actually choose the feral affinity because I like the movement speed. I like to create distance when I'm playing PvP. Well, I find that movement speed helps me in my raid, so I go ahead and I just keep it, right? I'm kind of used to how fast I move. I'm kind of, used to how all that works and what buttons to hit and when and where and why. So I stick with that, and it works for me with the group that I raid. In the end, if we have to stick with the covenants and there's not going to be an easy change in between, you know what? I'll just have to live with having a PvP covenant for my PvE content, and that'll be the choice that I do make. I already know what choice I'm going to make, and the fact that I have to make a choice, maybe that's cool, maybe it's not. I don't know. If it's really drastic, is maybe they could do things with the snap-ins of the soul binds that I could switch on the fly to where I have a really strong PvP soul bind and then a PvE soul bind that's not so hard to switch between. I think that's really where they're going to go with this, and you know what? It's going to be fine as long as it's not really huge differences. It's going to work out. Let's be calm. Let's not panic. Let's just wait and see where things go, right? I think that's the rule of thumb for everyone right now. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching the video, and until next time, turn on war mode.